Hello, today we happen to have another beta cast, and it is between Adivassi and Heeeesh. On the menu right now, we happen to have a Mordor versus Dol Guldur, so let's get right into it. On Al Demori, on the upper right, we have a Dol Guldur being played by Heeeesh, and a Mordor played by Adivassi. Now again, both factions have received a lot of changes, and I'm glad that I get to talk about what some of the Dol Guldur changes are today. So hopefully we see a good amount of them and we can get right into it. But yeah, so looks like we have Heeeesh doing a 4 mil start with a 2 jail setup, and Adivassi here going for the 4 farm start with the 2 orc barracks. Tier 1 pick is Cracks of Doom and Chill the Grave. Let's see, Heeeesh going for the Orc Hunters early enough just to press back the spam instead of having his rabble do it. Now, Dol Guldur has received significant changes, rather. We have addressed some of the buffs we gave the faction between patch 8.0 to all the way to 8.3.1. And we have just kind of looked at what we did then and dialed some of it back. We have added a few new things in just for, comfort. And again, I'm hoping to talk about that when we see it. Right now, we already had Chill the Grave here, Cracks of Doom. Now again, Cracks of Doom did have a damage nerf as mentioned before. So it's not as potent against, in particular, tier 1 swords like Sylvans and Clansmen. More just against spam. Looks like Adivassi's creeping down here. And we have 700 in the bank for DG. Looks like he's just going for the spider lair. Alright. So with the spider lair, one of the big changes has been adjusting Sinethra Sisters. We have kind of, as I mentioned, looked back at previous buffs between the patches and, gone through and dialed some of it back. So level 2 research time has had an increase. The Sinethra Sisters have had several stat changes. And that's kind of where we're going with the unit right now. We're just going to see how they play out. So maybe they'll pop up in the game here. We shall see. No changes to Infestation or Refresh Slaves, but in particular, again, we did mention that in the balance article, that is, that some of the resource structures, especially like DG, Malorn trees, and regular farms and fortresses have received, in particular, better armor versus heroes. Now, DG's structures in particular there suffered more against heroes than other factions. So they have received a 10% armor bump against heroes.
Fight or die. Simple.
And Thrain the Broken is on the field. Thrain did get a damage nerf as well as a nerf on No Escape. It is no longer a 20-second duration, but now it's a 15-second. Okay, so Mordor's at 600 CP, DG's at 550. Looks like he's gonna end up saving that mill, most likely. And let's see, nothing happening in the spider lair yet. No foul brood being purchased. Another thing in particular people notice, Sinethra Sisters have had a price increase back to 650 from 550. We did assess that. Oh, Adivassi going for the early Black Uryx. Okay. Now, this is also changing, just as a note. We have made it so that Broken Rabble do not get level 2 off of a singular farm. Essentially, they will require Thrain's passive experience from his leadership to get that level 2. And don't forget that Cargast himself does have his personal experience, but the idea there is to slow down the snowball effect that Broken Rabble have, as they're quite efficient and very good. So we have addressed that. And it looks like Thrain already died, so unlucky for Heeesh. He lost Thrain pretty early there. Heeesh seems to be waiting around for... I don't know if he's waiting on a hero or what. But it's kind of interesting. We happen to see that one Falbrew battalion. I think he may be going for a second. Not yet. Yeah, not yet. He's not going for the second just yet. And Black Uryx over here look to be have... Yeah, okay, so they had Despoiler active. That's the effects you see there. That's the additional damage against structures. No changes there. No real changes to Black Uryx.
Can't you leave us alone?
And it looks like Adivassi here is going for the troll cage. Now keep in mind, you might see that we do have some Risen Dead here from an earlier Broken Rebel battalion reaching level 2, but as I said, that has changed since this game was played. Let's see. And Cargast is on the field. Okay, so Heeesh wanting to go for a quick Cargast in this game. I could talk about some of the stuff that's really changed with him. We've adjusted the barrel lore to heal. It had some inconsistencies on how much it healed based off of the target. So we've given a static, I think it's a 500 or 600 HP return on Cargast. And again, his leadership no longer affects heroes at all, so no movement speed, no experience gain, of course. And another thing we've done is actually adjust his level 10, so it works like Golden Kings. It's just a quality of life change right there. And we do see Adi with the triple orc barracks. I don't think he's made a troll yet. Right now, Adi is kind of pulling everything back to defend this farm, which is a little odd. Let's see. I think he just kind of got lost in the moment right there. And no Mountain Troll yet, but there have been extensive changes to Mountain Troll. Oh, there we go. Okay. So yeah, I'll talk about the Mountain Troll a bit. So again, we've lowered the shoulder bash damage. We have made Eaten Orc a heal over time for 10 seconds. It is no longer an immediate heal. In addition, when they have their trees, they no longer deal splash against buildings, and they use their shoulder bash animation. So those are some of these significant changes here. And okay, it looks like Heeesh over here actually rushed out Crimple as well. So I'm curious if he is looking to use Crimple to press back on the troll. A little bit interesting, but he does happen to lose the jail and the mill here, so that's unfortunate for Heeesh. Anyways, Crimple's summon has changed. It is now a casting radius, and we have also decreased the duration of the summon. Another big thing with Crimple as well is that he doesn't have his splash damage anymore, and in addition, the Dungeon Master structure cannot be dropped on top of units, so that does not interfere with pathing anymore in the fights. And again, he has had his Cripple nerfed, as the duration was previously an oversight for sure. It was quite excessive for what it was. And again, over here on the towers, we've decreased the cost of Hidden Sentry. We just want to make the upgrade a little bit more relevant, and we've decreased the research time required on it as well. Shagra is another one of those heroes where the base splash is no longer present on him, and his summon has received a nerf in terms of casting range and duration. And again, the Nazgul as you saw from an earlier beta cast, have had their respective changes. Another thing we did recently is that we moved their base siege scalar from their overall weapon and just moved it behind Relentless Pursuit. So while the ability itself is active, that's when they get the siege scalar. So they're not going around one-shotting siege while mounted. Not technically one-shotting, but I would say cleaning up efficiently. And in the spire, since we have that on the field, I'm going to talk about this right now. One of the things we did is that there was really no honest reason we found. The Ravagers and Harbingers of Shadow were just way too similar, but in a way, Harbingers were superior to Ravagers because, again, no decay. So we moved Harbingers of Shadow behind level 3 of the Spire, and we've also increased their CP from 80 to 90. And here as well, which I will talk about later, because it's one of the best changes we have done for the faction. Anyways, in addition to these other shifts, we have nerfed the Spawn of Karkaroth. We've given it an additional hero scalar. We've given it an additional structure scalar, just to slow down the snowball effect it does have, because it was quite excessive. We've got Rates on Wings dropping right now. Looks like he's using it to counter the spawn. And Crimple is leaving. Okay. Cargast Cursed Treasure just activated. And he dropped that on one of the mills around here. I can't quite tell which. Okay, let's see what's happening here. So Shagrat, level 2. He's got the Drum Patrol and the Black Urks. Nice stuff. Looks like Adivassi's trying to go for the Spire. But one of the best things we did for Dol Guldur is that we have given the Castellans a Dark Presence radius of your standard, leadership radius. So Dark Presence is now an additional source from the Castellan. So it's no longer the Necromancer being your only Dark Presence source, but the Castellans are going to be more active in your, roster every game because they provide it. And that's been one of the best changes we did for Dol Guldur. It's been a lot of fun to mess around with and has helped them quite a bit. Looks like we did just have Wither kick off over here. No changes to Wither, but as you can see, eliminated a high-level farm and 3 Orc barracks. 600 CP for DG, 900 CP for Mordor. Let me see over here. So, yeah, we don't have... okay, so we do have a forge. So I'll talk about this real quick. We have made it so you can use Slaves of Nirn on the Gorgoroth Foundry. And pretty much we made that decision because Isengard's forge was the only one that could be used previously with industry power, but now that they are the same, economy percent value, we wanted to make upgrades a bit more relevant in Mordor. So we have allowed for Slaves of Nirn to be cast on the Gorgoroth Foundry. Looks like Crimple's almost down. Cargast over here. Level 5. And again, as I said, Ravagers have had a bit of a halfway revert on their 8.2 buffs, so we have adjusted some armor values. We've adjusted their damage scalar against structures as well. So they are more tame. They are more about the front line rather than structure harass. DG has plenty of other siege options for siege, so why should Ravagers do everything, as I've said before. But the Castellan change here has honestly been a very good one for the faction, and with that in mind, we did increase SCP from 30 to 45 as well. 650 CP on DG, 925 for Mordor. Looks like we have some Arisen Dead on the field, thanks to the Spire. And Mouth of Sauron is here. So another thing we do with Mouth of Sauron is that he's one of those heroes that received the experimental splash. And now Ambassador decreases his damage while the armor buff is up for the period by a total of 25%. Castellan is level 2. It's not going down, but right now he's just doing a decent job of keeping it up. And Mount Sauron's now level 3. Thrain the Broken's back on the field. We got 2 more Castellans out here from Heeeesh. No changes to Tomb Guard with that in mind. I know I've talked about a lot of different things for DG. Oh man, okay. I don't know why Adivassi had his builder up here, but no problem. Let's take a look down here. 14 points for Mordor, 14 for DG. 7 on Cargast, level 6 for Cripple.
More meat for the front line.
Let's see anything happening in the base. Just more Ravagers being pumped out by Heeeesh. Now, I just want to remind everyone again, the Ravagers have received an extensive review because I know they were a pretty frustrating point from the community. So when we did look at them, we looked at the buffs they received between the patches and figured they should be more frontline and less overall harass and siege. Okay, Mordor coming back up the center. Interesting harass group here by Heeeesh. Not really much going on. I was expecting maybe a Ravager to be paired over there. And Crimple's summon has been cast over here. As I said, it is now a casting radius rather than a instant drop on top of units. We have changed Farron, Crimple, and Gildor summon with that in mind. Spawn Kakarot here. Looks to be possibly going for Mouth of Sauron, but he is protected by pikes right now. We'll see if he actually ends up getting anything. Oh, Adivassi got the Witch King's Vanguard. Cool. I'm going to talk about this real quick. Again, we replaced the Morgul Vanguard with an updated Witch King's Vanguard battalion. So this is going to be one of those changes that people have to play out. Unfortunately, Adi did just run into the pikes right there in the middle of the chaos. So let's see, Crimple level 8. Spawn the Karkaroth. Going after Mouth of Sauron. Looks like he could be going down.
Come on, you mangy scum.
And let's see, another Castellan has hit the field. Thrain looks to be dropping dead here. And I think he maybe got out. Nope, he died. Okay, he definitely died. So yeah, as I said, with the change to Slaves of Nirn being usable on Gorgoroth Foundry, I'm definitely anticipating a lot more Easterling gameplay in Mordor, just to change up their late game behavior. And it should be pretty good for them. Looks like Mordor's pulling back to the base right now. Let's see. Anything else that we've changed on the jail? No. A lot of the focus on the jail was between the Ravagers and the Broken Rabble. So that's been the biggest change there. And again, Castellans have been a huge change for Dol Guldur. Huge change. And in particular, the other thing we had changed about Chagrin Summon is that we fixed it so that the Black Urex no longer get dropped inside of the structure clump. because that was a bug that was definitely unintended, and that has been fixed. Castellan level 4, level 2. And Fires of Orodwin, and this is another thing that we've changed. We've decreased the radius, but we have also taken away the fear effect because it was just too good of a tier 4. It did a little too much of everything in between the structure demolition and the unit slash hero killing. So we had to kind of balance that out a little bit. And with the buff we gave to AotR, it's also the fact that that is going to be the other thing where you're going to prioritize it for units because that can't deal damage to structures, but Fires of Orodwin is the structure primary focus. We didn't change the damage for the record on Fires of Orodwin. We just decreased the radius of the effect, and the fear effect has been removed. Let's see. What is going to happen here? So Gothmog has had the change where his pike summon is not used while mounted anymore. I mentioned that for sure. Rates on wings, no changes there. Just the overall flyer bug fix. And it looks like Gothmog's going to go down because of the Grimple summon. Unlucky for Adivassi. And it looks like Hysteria was dropped over here by Heeeesh. Ooh. Mouth of Sauron walking right into the Crimple summon. But he's got the Ambassador ability up right now, so he has the armor bonus. Let's see. He has not purchased Greater Blight, but the Spire is, of course, at level 3. The main reason we really moved Harbingers of Shadow to level 3 of the Spire is because level 3 of the Spire did not have much competitive value, so we wanted to do an adjustment on the structure like we've done with other structures in the factions, like Lorien's Green Pasture and the Worm Lair for Misty Mountains. But even with Darkness right now, 2 Ravager Battalions did not instantly nuke that farm right there. So it's just an example of the structure scale that we have given them. And besides the move from level 2 to 3 of the Spire, like I said, they've only received a minus 5% on the hero scaler and a 10 CP increase. Looks like, oh. Okay. So Fires of Orodwin was just dropped. This is the new radius. It used to be a little bit larger than that. It looks like Heeeesh is now going for the Fountain of Corruption. So another thing we did here for DG in particular is that we've increased the CP of the Blighted Trappers from 60 to 80. And that was because you could really spam the Blighted Trappers and be very, very dangerous with them because of the DG modifier clump. But again, it is the elite archer, so we haven't touched their stats. We just wanted to change their CP to also match the average elite archer CP. Heeeesh does happen to have Wither and Spawn Cockroach available. So maybe... Oh, we do happen to see barbed arrows on the Easterlings here. You can see the FX. Witch King's Vanguard chasing after Camel right now. So Camel is one of those heroes that did receive the experimental splash split. And right now he has not received any other changes. See, 14 points here for DG. 11. Ooh, barely gets out of that, by the way. Just barely. Spawn Cockroach coming back onto the field right now, about to go chasing down some of the heroes. Oh man, Gothmog literally just dismounted at the worst time. Bro has not leveled yet. because it just keeps getting screwed by the time he's showing up. Wrong place, wrong time kind of energy there. Okay, but as I said, we have put a hero scaler on the spawn Cargast. We've also decreased their health and adjusted their structure scaler further. Let's see. Tracker secure with Ungol. No changes on that power. It's been rather fine to us. Legions of Mordor on the field now, though, for Adivassi. Fair amount of Easterling archers here. I'm surprised he's not trying to invest in heavy armor. He has a level 3 Gorgoroth Foundry, so. Okay, 17 points for Heeeesh. Spire Layer still level 1. Tomb Guard on the field. Like I said, no changes to the Tomb Guard right now. We found them rather fine as is. The attention was more on the Ravagers. And let's see. Attack Troll. So the Attack Troll in comparison to Gundabad Stone Trolls and Alpine Cave Trolls has not really received much attention outside of just a cost increase. So that at face value they are 1,000 with the discount in play. And again, as a reminder, we did remove 5% of the troll discount from the slave farms here. See what's happening up here. It looks like, oh, yikes! Camel went right into the Easterling Pikes. Not a good time there for Heeeesh. I don't think there's any hero here. No, there's no heroes here. We do have the cavalry summon in the back for Mordor right now. Dark Sorcerer just dropped here. Infestation going off. The Castellan structure armor is in play. It's what you're seeing here with the effects. Cargast trying not to get run down. Looks like Malthasar's trying to tank everything going for him right now. Easterling archers just nuked the Castellan. Oh, we happened to... Oh, yeah, here we go. Okay, we are seeing Dark Awakening by Cargast in play a little bit. And it's... Again, we did change that to be similar to Golden King's level 10, just to make it a little bit better.
More meat for the front line.
Looks like Harbinger's trying to nuke that Witch King's Vanguard. And they are tanking the Easterling Archers rather well under darkness, but they're going to get taken care of there. And another thing we did with the Spire, with all the moving around of things, is that we decreased the level 3 cost down to 500, and we decreased the Greater Blight cost from 1,200 to 1,000. And it looks like Heeeesh is calling GG here. All right. So as I mentioned, DG received a fair amount of changes based off of how we saw them being quite dominant in 8.3.1. And it's those kind of changes that are going to require the community feedback that we mentioned that we are seeking in the balance article we dropped recently, and being able to, push the adjustments where needed through our standalone launcher. We're going to have the opportunity to course correct things and change up the meta when it's warranted, just to continue making things interesting and pumping out those updates better. Because in the past, it's taken us, previously, a fair amount of time between the test cycles for the actual version releases. But with the standalone launcher, we're able to send those balance changes out faster when necessary. So again, it's going to be all based off of player feedback and how factions are doing, among other things such as individual, tweaks if something is really not doing well or if something is overperforming drastically. So again, a lot of things moving forward are going to be based off of community feedback and things we are looking to do. We shared some of the ideas that we have moving forward, such as the body blocking improvements and working around that alongside making upgrades a bit more effective in terms of armor against heroes and price points of an upgrade for the unit based off the tier. So again, thank you everyone for joining. There were a lot of changes there for Dol Guldur. It's going to be one of those things where people just have to get acquainted with it, but it was a faction that was very dominant in 8.3.1. So again, thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed, and see you next time.